I am probably going to get started in about 30 seconds. I'm just going to quickly, I'd love to start by welcoming everyone. Thank you so much for joining this info session on the Future of Work Challenge. Wanted to first start off by thanking you for your time. And you could be anywhere else on a Zoom call, but you decided to pick ours, and we're very, very appreciative of it. And so I want to start off by introducing myself. My name forwarded to you and you're like, who's that? Let me give you a little background. My Black Women Talk Tech was formed about 4.5 years ago by myself and two co-founders, Regina Gwen and Lone Washington, as a way to connect for Black women tech founders and our communities to be able to scale and build our technology enterprises and businesses. Our mission is to build the next billion-dollar tech company, right? And make sure we have the resources and the community supports in order to get there. And ways that we are doing that today is that we're primarily known for our Roadmap to Billions conference. So many of you probably have attended or heard of it, where we allow experts from around the world talk to you about how to better scale or position your business for success. So whether that's from operations to legal to fundraising, the works, we talk about it. And it's been an incredible journey, starting with just 30 people and now having over 1,300 folks who join us annually at the conference. And then over 30,000 of you we've cultivated over the last 4.5 years. So we're super excited to have you here with us, learning a little bit more about the opportunities that are before you. We love challenges here as entrepreneurs, and so we're excited for the opportunity to provide solutions to this Future of Work Challenge. But before we get into the whole nitty-gritty of it all, I'd like to go over a few housekeeping rules. So if you have a question, have no fear, we'll probably get to it because we have a bunch of questions queued up and ready for folks to learn more about the challenge. But if it's still not really clear, go ahead and ask your questions in the chat, and we'll have our handy dandy questionnaire extraordinaire person come and grab your question and let us know. So we'll go ahead and ask that. All those custom questions will happen at the end. So please, go ahead and send those questions in the chat. We'll make a note of that, and at the end, we'll go ahead and open up for Q&A. So without further ado, we would love the opportunity to go ahead and introduce Dr. Angela Jackson from New Profit and Monica Groves from, I just caught something, I'm so sorry, from XPRIZE. So, excuse me. I would love for you all to welcome them in the chat from all over the place. I know everyone's like really excited over there. So super excited to have you all to help present a little bit and learn more about the Future Work Challenge. So before we actually get started around the questions, I'd love for you all to just introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about your companies and backgrounds, and then we'll go into the whole spiel.
Perfect. So I just want to just thank you and the other founders, Regina, Lauren, Black Women Talk Tech. This moment for me is pretty significant. I'll tell you why. I'm a partner at New Profit, where I lead the Future of Work investments and strategy. Prior to that, I was actually a founder. So I founded an organization that I ran for 8 years in New York City. And, when I was out there raising money, I saw the disparities and the capital access gaps. And that really led me to want to be on the investing side. And I promised myself, like, if I was ever on that side of the table, that really what I wanted to do is really, one, focus on closing those gaps, and two, make some of that unwritten curriculum more accessible, particularly to Black women. So being here today, again, it's like a full circle moment. Lauren was on the board of the organization that I ran in New York, so we have the connection there. So when we talk about the future of work, when I joined UProfit 2 years ago, it was really an upmarket conversation. I was thinking about how do we get people who are middle level management to more senior roles. When I looked at the research, I really saw when we talked about the future of work that it was going to disproportionately impact people along the lines of race, gender, and also socioeconomic background. So it was really important for me when we had this challenge and $6 million to invest to make sure that we were doing it in an equitable fashion. And so part of that was investing it on the people who are going to be disproportionately impacted. But I thought another key part of it was sourcing solutions, innovations from people who are proximate with the people that we're hoping to serve. And I see Black women as like essential to the problem solving. So if you look at our Future of Work Grand Challenge, we're very clear that we're looking for Black, Latinx, and Indigenous entrepreneurs. That's why this partnership with Black Women Talk Tech is really critical to get the word out, and just really excited to have this opportunity, again, to have kind of a family conversation. We'll hope that you will ask all of the questions that you have and put those in the chat, and don't be shy, and look forward to hearing more about the work that you're doing. And I'll pass it along to my colleague, Monica Groves, who's at XPRIZE.
Yeah, thank you so much, Angela. And thank you, Sosa, and the rest of the team for the invite to come and talk to you guys today. With me, I've been at XPRIZE for about 4 years, manager of prize operations, mainly dealing with our prizes around human-centered innovation. I previously worked on the Adult Literacy XPRIZE, which is about upskilling and helping adults increase their English literacy skills to put them on a career pathway as far as getting their GED and be prepared to be able to be upwardly mobile. And also split my time on our learning initiative, XPRIZE Connect. And with my core and my why being of service to people, it was a really great opportunity to come to XPRIZE and work in this capacity where I could do a lot of community engagement and really be able to have a boots on the ground type of feel and the type of work that I did. Now I'm doing that more virtually in this manner. And so getting the chance to work on the XPRIZE Rapid Reskilling Prize was amazing because it was a really great next step in what we do to continue to help people be their best selves, be empowered, and find really great opportunities for themselves in the future. With us here at XPRIZE, we've been in existence for about 25 years, and we're really looking to be able to do a lot of great work. And we're truly trying to be the platform that delivers radical breakthroughs that really help humanity. And we've launched about 21 prizes in these 25 years. And we really want to be able to really empower people across the globe to come up with solutions to the world's greatest challenges, because we know that solutions can come from anyone, anywhere. We really want to be able to define the problems, set targets, and really crowdsource those solutions to global problems, and through incentivized competitions to really make that happen. And really looking at where labor, race, and equity all align, XPRIZE Rapid Reskilling as a part of the Future of Work initiative is a really great thing to really deconstruct systemic barriers and design solutions that give everyone access to meaningful work. And we really want to be able to collaborate, which is a great opportunity for us to partner with profit.
Yeah, I would just add, we selected XPRIZE because we think the $6 million that we're going to give away, that's definitely important, and we're excited. It's going to be grants, no equity. But one thing that we loved about XPRIZE is they have an unparalleled network. And as we know as founders, money is one thing, but also access to networks and wraparound supports are equally important. And we couldn't think of a better partner than XPRIZE to bring to that partnership so that we can uplift our founders, money and connections.
We are so excited to have you both here sharing all the goods, all the tea on the challenge ahead of us. And so let's start there actually. So let's talk about, tell us a little bit more about why you mentioned a little bit about why, but what exactly is the challenge, right? And how should we start to think about it?
Yeah, so we call it the Future of Work Grand Challenge because it's really two parts. So one part of it is led by XPRIZE, which is the Rapid Reskilling XPRIZE, which is thinking about what are accelerated learning technologies and solutions that are up there that are cutting the time for people to train for what we call the jobs of the future. And when we say the future, we're thinking about professions that are not estimated to be automated in the next 3 to 5 years. But as we know, training is just one part of it. You also need wraparound supports to help find a job. So we're also working with MIT Solves to surface the best existing wraparound supports. So think about, skills assessment, thinking about career navigation, mentorship, and then our goal is to take the best solutions from accelerated learning, from the rapid reskilling, and the wraparound supports from MIT Solves, and we're actually going to test those in 5 communities across the country with workforce boards and job centers. And we can talk about a bit more about what they are, but really the spirit behind testing it is twofold. One is we want to see if these solutions can actually help people get work, get trained, and have jobs. And then the second part of it is we believe that these workforce boards and job centers for an entrepreneur can be their client and their customer. There's literally billions of dollars in workforce development. What we want to do is unlock that for entrepreneurs of color.
Oh, that's amazing. That is so incredible, the work you're doing, and why entrepreneurs, I believe that the solution is definitely going to probably come from a person of color, and primarily a Black woman is my guess. But we want to really understand also the importance of this topic to really charge and support our communities. And so that's why it's super incredible what you're doing here. And so I'd love to hear from Monica if you have any insight on that as well from XPRIZE part.
Yeah, definitely. Really wanting to push the envelope and really be future forward in how we tackle problems, how we look at the world, how we are a part of making the world a better place, locally on a micro level, but also globally on a macro level. And being able to be a part of this larger grand challenge is amazing because it exemplifies why we need collaboration and how great change can come, but not in your silo, in your area. It really takes a lot. It takes a multitude. It takes a village to be able to impact and create the large, sustainable, scalable type of impact that we want to create here with the future of work shift.
Exactly. That's awesome. So, I always like to say entrepreneurs are probably the best type of problem solvers because we always look at things effectively. How do we make it faster? How do we make it more effective? And I just find that it's one of the best opportunities in kind of creating a challenge like this to allow entrepreneurs to really sink their teeth in and figure out the best solutions for it. And so how do you see entrepreneurs contributing to building the future of work, and what does that look like? If you can share a little bit, since we went to Angela already, let's go to Monica.
Okay, definitely. Entrepreneurs are definitely, like I said, future forward thinkers, thinking about how do we problem solve every day. You're go-getters, on the grind, always looking for a way. And so we're really excited because we want to be able to expand beyond some of our traditional teams that usually come into the ecosystem of XPRIZE. What we're looking for when it comes to teams or those who are interested in competing are definitely those who have a business that is education training forward. You're really utilizing, expertise in AI, machine learning to be able to bring forth development and learning opportunities that otherwise would be serviced in person. Because really thinking about COVID-19 and the need for social distancing and everyone being able to continue to live, but in a safe way. We're really looking for those who are ed tech and tech focused with learning tools and platforms, even those who may be working in career navigation, any kind of placement or support, and also people who work in adult basic education, because we also have to recognize that a lot of those who may have been adult basic education programs are those that are affected by being displaced with COVID-19 and the digital revolution. So anyone who has skills when it comes to AI, VR, blockchain, big data focused companies, we're really seeking you. Virtual workforce, recruiting, HR, and even staffing, someone who can take our traditional staffing models and revolutionize them into a model that's quick, easily accessible, and is not necessarily place-based. be something that's going to be digital that allows us to be able to move and affect and be able to change the lives of lots of people who aren't just locally close to a location.
Oh, that's incredible. That's good to hear. I mean, when you think about the magnitude of what you're solving, you're trying to help 25,000 right displaced workers right now to actually get training quickly, right, and then go ahead and replace to get into the workforce within I'm assuming like 2 years, right? And so that's very interesting just to kind of think about how looking at the shoes of the person you're trying to help solve and support, and then all the pieces that you just mentioned to kind of build a solution around that is super important for us to kind of break that down. And so when I think about both the challenges and the solutions that, you know, XPRIZE and MIT are looking for, could you kind of walk us through like maybe an example you've seen, or what can you kind of give as like a short, quick example, or breaking down some of those challenges?
Yep, is that me or Angela?
Oh, sorry. I would say Angela, since we already had for you.
So a couple of things, and then Monica, I'd love for you to jump in. One is, I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer, and this is why we are really going to the innovators to say, what are you seeing out there? You know, what technologies are you most impressed with that you think people are interested in learning, that have had most success? And I'll just give you an example of a woman who actually was pitching me on an idea that she was working on. She was an engineer, worked in manufacturing by trade, and she came up with this company called Daughters of Rosie. Well, while she was working as an engineer, she looked to her left, she looked to her right. There weren't a lot of women, there weren't a lot of people of color, and she wanted to understand why. And so what she realized is it wasn't about the actual skill set for some of these entry-level jobs. One, it was about the network, and two, it was like understanding how to interview for these jobs. And so what she did was she built an accelerated learning program to help for on-ramps to these manufacturing jobs that offer a living wage and benefits. That's the type of insight. Now, I don't know if I would have thought about manufacturing, for example, but when we think about the 25,000 people we want to place, that's just a drop in the bucket, right? We have unprecedented unemployment rates, and manufacturing may not be right for everyone. Tech may not be right for everyone. So we need to really think about, we're going to need a variety of different professions. But the one thing we want innovators to keep in mind is, what are those skills that someone could learn that would get them a job that would pay a living wage and benefits? Again, that will not be estimated to be automated in the next 3 to 5 years. And how can a person learn that skill in an accelerated fashion? How can they learn it via distance, as Monica shared? And how can they, if they're a busy parent, right? Or, you know, they're working from home, they're trying to look for a job during the day, like how can they do it on their terms that provides flexibility? So it's really important to keep in mind like who we're solving this for. And we're really thinking about targeting this for the people with job seekers with the most barriers to employment. So they have children, they may have, faulty transportation, they don't have a lot of time, and they're thinking about how do they pay their rent next month. So it's like really important for them that they're not thinking about going back to school for 4 years. They want to know, what can I learn today that I can, and quickly next month, 2 months, be able to get a job.
Exactly. I also think there might be some interesting things that we probably should get into and dive into the most important pieces, like, the prize money, how much is on the line, what's available for this challenge, and maybe kind of breaking down, how to access that.
Yeah. Before we go there, Monica, I just wanted to see, was there anything else that you would add about like entrepreneurs, or like giving them like to make a bit more crisp about what we're looking for?
No, like you were very succinct and on point.
Okay, excellent. So I love to talk about the money, and I think the way that we've structured this is it's really interesting because there's a couple of things. And XPRIZE, for instance, they really do want ideas. So I know a lot of times when you're applying for an incubator or different funding, they want you to have an MVP, for example, right? What we're saying is apply with your idea. As part of that process, you will build to your MVP. So there might might be people with ideas. There could be people with MVPs, but just because you don't have one, we don't want you to preclude yourself from applying. What we will do is we're going to select 15 ideas as finalists. And as part of that, we're going to give each finalist $100,000 as part of the Rapid Reskilling XPRIZE. We're also going to give $100,000 to 5 finalists from the MIT Solves. So in total, there's going to be 20 finalists who each receive $100,000. That $100,000 can be used for your MVP. In addition to that, XPRIZE and MIT, they have a host of wraparound supports and partners. So if you're thinking about like fine-tuning your idea, the business model, testing it, like you're gonna have a team that you can work with on that piece of it. And that's gonna be in advance of us pairing you with workforce boards and job centers in 5 different communities so that you can actually build to that. You can use some of those dollars if you need to create and build on kind of your idea. From there, we will have finalists that will share, like the people who are actually entrepreneurs with their solutions who are able to train and place 500 people, they'll be eligible for a $1.5 million prize purse. And so usually, and Monica, keep me honest on this, it'll be split between 2 to 3 finalists. The other part that I'm excited to announce here is that through funding, some of these finalists that we have and prize winners, New Profit is positioned to do follow-up investments in these companies as well. So you've got the prize money, the finalists, you got the ultimate prize, you got the connection to the job centers who could be a customer, and then you have the opportunity for follow-on funding. And Monica, if you want to share a bit about that, just your network of VCs and how you've introduced past finalists to follow-on investors.
Yes, yes, definitely. As XPRIZE, I always tell everybody, we are the facilitator, the conduit. When you come into an XPRIZE competition, you come with your idea, and that idea is yours. It's proprietary. It is owned by you. We as XPRIZE are here to move the needle forward. And so we use our ecosystem to be able to prepare you for your next step, for your business, even outside of XPRIZE, because we understand once this prize is over, you will still be doing the great work that you're doing. So we really leverage our ecosystem and really great partners to be able to figure out what your needs are and how we can help meet them to make you a strong competitor as well as a strong business. So like Angela said, we'll have those 15 teams that will receive that grant money of $100,000. And those we're going to really look at what their needs are, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and tailor upcoming events, webinars, team summits, and really use our network to be able to give you the knowledge and the skill and the connections that you need to excel in the competition as well as a business outside of the competition. And so it's very important to know that you don't have to come into an XPRIZE competition, such as Rapid Reskilling, with everything together. We've had really, really amazing teams in previous prizes who came, they're just one person or a family or some people who just met by virtue of being interested in the competition and realized, well, I'm a coder, I'm a curriculum developer, we should partner to create a team, because it's very important to know that you don't have to do everything yourself. If you create a team to be able to compete in either one of the challenges, it's important to know that you can curate your own team of experts to be able to be as effective as possible with the solution that you create, as well as what you give out to those who are looking to be reskilled. And even with that, looking at, you know, being able to meet the benchmarks of, you know, scaling and being able to give that solution to 500 people, and then 5,000 once you get into the semifinalist round. And even looking into, you know, what you have to do to actually compete, being able to get people placed in jobs when, you know, after the training 90 days or less, and being able to retain them for at least 60 days in those jobs is very important as you work with those workforce development boards and look at the occupations that you choose to skill and scale in, to look to make sure that those things match and mesh. And even looking at the competition now, looking at what you need to do is pretty simple, is to pretty much sign up, complete your application, and then we'll be taking you through the process step by step to be able to give you what you need to be able to do the in-depth proposal that you and your team will put together, which isn't due until November 20th. So right now we're just in early registration, which is free. Another thing that we're doing to be able to remove those barriers, to bring everyone to the table, to be able to take advantage of this great opportunity to be of service to people, but also to be of service to yourself and get an opportunity to, you know, improve what you're doing, accelerate what you're doing, but also get seed money. And so we're taking applications right now. It's free. It doesn't hurt to even register and then say, okay, now who am I going to put on this team? Who's going to be on this team with me? And so we really, really welcome you to do that and to be able to take it one step at a time, because that's what we're doing right now in this process. So it's not so daunting. So we're going step by step of, what these competitions are. What do you get out of this? How do you even go about setting up your account and doing your application? What's in the application? We're even working on what's going to be in the proposal and setting up ways and means and webinars to help you through in a step-by-step process. So it's not so daunting and everything's needed, done, and required at one time. So we're really excited to be able to talk to you ladies about this and eventually take your questions. And I'm sure there's something that I'm missing. Oh, I could tell you a little bit more about timeline deadlines. Right now, we're in early registration for rapid reskilling, and it goes all the way until November 20th. And then you have until December the 16th to actually turn in your technical submission or proposal. And we'll make sure that there's follow-up details on that for you guys.
Oh my goodness, that was incredible. I don't know if you see the chat going crazy, but they were like, where can I sign up? Where is the link? Like, it is incredible. I think first let's stop and just like really think about how much you guys are offering for entrepreneurs, especially entrepreneurs of color. It's incredible, because a lot of times when you sign up for a lot of these competitions or things, you have to be buttoned up. You have to have everything kind of in market, what we call MVP, a product that's at least been tested a little bit out there. And this is an opportunity, y'all, just to even have an idea and see if it sticks, right? And then you're going to work side by side with these ladies who are selected to kind of really actually work towards that MVP product, test it in the market, get as many people on board leveraging and testing together with all the resources that you're providing at XPRIZE, New Profit, and MIT Solve. Is just incredible. So like I'm so excited that to have this information be shared with everyone and really break that down again for everyone. Again, I just want to make sure for the people in the back who didn't hear it, that, the deadline is November
20th.
20th. And the November 20th deadline is just for the ideas, right? And so you don't have to have everything fully baked. You just have to have some idea of how you plan to allow people who are displacing jobs right now to find a solution, right? Find some type of training that makes it quicker, and some of the questions as you were talking that came up for me is like, is it industry specific? Are there things that I should be thinking about as an entrepreneur that I should be focusing that I didn't consider while you were talking? So I would love to kind of touch on those things, but really I just want to reiterate, because I'm going to get a ton of emails and questions after this, because I normally do, and just November 20th is the deadline. So, and that's just for the ideas. So make sure you get your ideas together and start thinking through that. And we'll, I hear a lot of people, where's the link? Where's the link? We're going to send the link after this as well. And we will continuously have more information for you all to go ahead and apply. But would love to just kind of hear from you all in terms of like industry, and how should I be kind of approaching it to as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, so two things. I threw the links in there to apply. And I just want to go back to what Monica said. Like, I saw a lot of questions saying, what stage do we have to be at? Like, we really mean idea. And if you put in your if you register to apply with your idea, you'll get feedback. I've just been so impressed with the XPRIZE team. They're reviewing all of these applications as they come in to make sure that they're a fit. If they do have questions about your applications, they're reaching out to you directly, so you will get feedback. So would just really encourage you to put your idea on paper. And the team, you don't need a team, as Monica mentioned, to apply. You can just have yourself and your idea. You'll have time to figure out the rest. We looked at, in terms of like occupations and training, we identified about 87 different like occupations that were eligible for like rapid upskilling. And we have a list that we can share with you afterwards. I will say for us, that's just a start. That's what was based on our research. There might be other occupations out there that you might know about. So I would just say, have your data to back up while you're selecting that occupation and that training. Like I said, with so many people being displaced, it's not going to be a one size fits all. When we go to these job seekers, we're going to have to really understand what are their interests. It's going to be beyond just having a job. We want people to find their passion and a career.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Monica, I don't know if you have anything to share back.
No, that was good.
Okay. I just want to stress y'all, it's just an idea. And really, it's an incredible opportunity. We just actually last week launched the New Face of a Founder research report. And in it, we showed over 671 Black women tech founders took the survey and told us kind of what industries they were in and where they were across the country and all these great data and information. And one of the biggest things that we found, the top 3 spaces we see Black women creating innovation in is ed tech, fintech, and health tech. So it's a lot of opportunities there, I think, within the skilling conversation that we're having, that there could be solutions that are already half-baked or fully out there that we can kind of form and pivot and share to help kind of build within the solution. So feel free to open up your treasure chest and see how you can leverage things you're already doing already in your business to kind of also apply within this need. So I just wanted to give that shout out to folks just to really look at and see too if you can have those things that can be addressed and problem solved. Because I understand that we're looking not only for like adoptable learning, but like real skilling and understanding that can transition quickly. And so I would love to understand too, if you can kind of give us an understanding of the term like system focused solution and break that down a little bit so that, break that down a little bit so that the folks in the audience can better understand how to address that. And that's for Angela or Monica who wants that.
Yeah, so just to start out with systems, we understand like if someone's looking for a job, like they're in their existing community, they have their existing resources. So we're really thinking about when you're thinking of your solution, we know that there's no silver bullet. So we want to make sure that the entrepreneur understands where their solution, where their intervention, how that fits with the overall ecosystem. So for example, if, to make it a bit more clear, if it was like accelerated learning, you'd think, okay, I'm teaching a skill, but I'll still need to work with, maybe I'm making this up, Goodwill Industries, who's a partner to help with placement, or I may need to work with a staffing firm. But really just understanding what is the system and then how your unique solution is going to interplay there. And the big thing about what we've learned, at least from New Profit, about understanding the system, for us, that's really understanding how your viability and your sustainability, because you need to know like literally where you fit in to the overall mix and like what are you offering that no one else is offering, but that is complementary to other solutions that are out there.
Awesome. I'm so excited. We have so many questions, so I'm going to ask maybe 1 or 2 more questions and then get into the Q&A so that we can get all those questions answered. The only other questions that I'd love to ask is, what are some tips and tricks you can give us on really standing out in the application? Like, I could just see the floodgates opening and having so many people coming in. Like, what are some do's and don'ts? And then what are some really good things to make sure we have so that we're really a cut above the rest?
Monica, I'm gonna let you take that one.
Yeah, definitely. Be prepared. Have a really good description of who you are, what your solution is, and how it will solve for the problem. It's literally that simple to start. It's a really great base. Also look at where there is a need in the industry. Look at where there is a gap that needs to be filled, and make sure that you're innovating towards meeting the need in the market in workers who need to be reskilled. Look at how you can leverage, like Isosa said, what you're already doing to solve a new problem. Sometimes a solution isn't a new solution. It could be something we already have that's revolutionized to meet new and recurring needs based on COVID-19 and new employment industry realities. So really think forward, think outside of the box. Think about how what you already have could very much so be a benefit to solving for the future of work problems that we currently have. And also be sure to share vision, share your passion, share your energy, and how you put your description of your team together. Make sure that you have a presence, a website, a place where we can go and read more about the team, you as an individual, your organization, however you decide to submit is totally fine. There is no requirement that you have to be already established and incorporated, company or an LLC. You can be an individual. You can be a nonprofit. You can be an already established company. You can be from anywhere in the world to compete in XPRIZE Rapid Reskilling. Now, what we will say is that for that field testing, where we're getting the solutions to workers, that will be US based. But as a company, you can be from anywhere in the world. And it's great because you're going to have that opportunity to test your solution with workforce development boards across the United States. And that's great because it takes some of the onus of finding the workers off of you, of finding all of the employers off of you. You're able to plug into those workforce development boards and be able to get those connections that you need to scale your solutions to learners and workers, but also to make connections with employers that you may not already have a relationship.
Awesome.
I was gonna say, the only thing I would add is just exactly what you're doing now. Thank you for joining these office hours. Both MIT and XPRIZE, MIT holds solvathons where you can bring your idea and they'll do matchmaking. XPRIZE, led by Monica, does a series of programming for people who are in the idea phase 2 where they'll do matchmaking. So if you sign up for our list of events, you'll see those, take advantage of those. A lot of teams have met through those events, and that's a place where people say, can we get real-time feedback on our ideas? That's an opportunity for you to get real-time feedback in a small audience, not only from XPRIZE and MIT, but also for peers who are working too, who could be potential collaborators.
Incredible. Thank you so much for mentioning that. I didn't even know that resource could really be available to so many people that really, really need that kind of round loop feedback session, because a lot of times from a research, what we found is that 70% of Black women who are starting companies today are solo founders. So having that bounce off idea session with folks would really be helpful. So I want to go ahead and start getting into these questions because we have quite a foray of them. So I'm going to go ahead with the first one. Would you consider this to be including people-facing jobs such as mental health and physical health care? Angela or Monica?
Monica, I'm going to defer to you for the solutions.
Yep, definitely. The solutions can cover a multiple range of occupations. Like Angela said, based on our research when creating the prize design, we identified about 87 occupations, and that's created based on the Bureau of Labor and Statistics' most latest report as of September 2020. You can find that on the website. I know that they shared the link. That's rapidreskilling.xprize.org in the guidelines. You click guidelines and everything you need to know is there. But once again, we really wanted to look at jobs that were trending to grow in the next 3 to 5 years. I mean, it's great right now, IT tech support it's popping, it's popular right now, but where is that going to be in 2023? Will that turn into a digital job that's done by a chatbot? They won't need physical people to man those type of jobs. That's where we're looking. So even though there are some jobs that are very, very much so, in demand now, based on that report, is there going to be growth, and is there going to be a livable wage? That's very important, because all the solutions and the jobs that people are upskilled to have to give a livable wage, because the whole point is we're breaking down those systemic barriers. Yeah, it's great. I'm going to train you to be a customer service representative. But if you're making $10 an hour in Miami, Florida, that doesn't cut it. You need to make a minimum wage. So that's what we're really trying to move forward and really be able to solve for jobs that are on the move, that are growing, where someone would have an actual future, so they don't have to continue to experience, job death or career death based on being in an industry that's really being digitized or that's being adversely affected by COVID-19.
Great, thank you so much. So Yasmin, go ahead, apply. You don't have to worry. It can be people facing. There's a whole host of different opportunities you can solve for. So go ahead and do that. The next question is from Christina, and she's asking, does this include future work cultures?
Coaches?
Cultures.
Cultures. Maybe they could elaborate. I don't, can you say more about that?
Christina, if you can go ahead and put in the chat box what you mean by that, and then we'll come right back to it. All right, so the next question we have here is, do you need to be from America? No, this is a global challenge, which is incredible because many of the opportunities that are typically placed are usually only US based, and we have a very global network from West Africa to London to all over the United States and the globe. So we're really excited about that. And the question is, does the business idea have to be already up and running, or can it be just an idea? Definitely can be just an idea. Don't have to worry about that. We are really want to stress this because I'll probably get 15 questions of the same question. It really can be an idea. Like at any stage, I'm just really present a real specific and interesting idea that you think is going to work in terms of getting skilled labor up and running in a short period of time and into a real livable job right after, right? And so we want to really focus on just your ideas by November 20th. The other piece I would say is, would an ed tech company that focus on preparing middle and high school youth for the future of work be a potential candidate for this challenge? This is coming from Jamila.
Yep. So we're focused on adult learners for this, but this would be for example, an idea that you may already be working on that could be applicable, for example, to adults. So that would be a new way of you using your curriculum or using your technology for adults if you wanted to enter this prize, but it doesn't need to be focused on people who are 18 and older, who are adult learners.
Okay. So there's a question here around, are you mainly interested in low wage upskilling, or are the careers reskilling solutions also of interest?
Yeah, so, and I think I also saw they said career changers. So I think it's a both and, right? So these are going to be people who didn't earn a living wage like last year, but they're also going to be people who are impacted by COVID, right? So, there's a lot of jobs that we once thought were recession proof, think hospitality, restaurants, like a lot of those jobs are gone. So if you'd worked in the hospitality industry for 10 to 12 years, you're probably thinking about like, what can I do with those skills now? How are they transferable? So those solutions and helping people assess the skills they have and try to think about what's next are going to be critical. Exactly. And that would be for the MIT Solves, the pathways to employment.
Great. Since Angela mentioned, there's $1 billion in workforce development. Can you elaborate more about this?
Absolutely. So workforce boards are like a quasi-government entity. They're funded by federal, state dollars, and sometimes local philanthropy. There's 538 of them nationwide. There's over 2,000 job centers. And so in most communities, you can find a local job center that is federally or state funded to do training. And typically what we found in our research is that some of their training has been outmoded. They're training people for jobs that don't have a living wage. And so one of the other things we're trying to accomplish with this challenge is to bring some of these newer technologies to these local job centers for people who may need them the most, right? So, I think about when I went to high school, even when I went to undergrad, you know, we weren't talking about the future of work. So a lot of people were educated at a time where some of these careers didn't exist. So how do they find the information? If they're going to their local job center, they're probably not finding it. They're probably being trained for IT, right? Like Monica said, which seems amazing now, but in 2 to 3 years, if it's automated again, they're going to be back at square one. So what we really want to do is go into communities and introduce them to new technologies, trainings, curriculum that they may have never thought about. And these boards, so that, you know, when I meant billions of dollars of funding, they pay for training. So the 5 boards that we've talked to, they've committed, like if a entrepreneur innovator is able to place workers, you know, 500 workers, they're like, we will sign up and we will become a customer. So they will become a paying customer for you. And again, they have annual budgets where they do training. So if you haven't thought about workforce boards or job centers, look into them. I just told another entrepreneur about them. He called his local workforce board in Washington State, and now he's doing a coding boot camp with them. They're, in this moment, particularly with COVID, they're looking at ways to train people, to upskill people. So it's definitely a resource out there. And you can Google the National Association of Workforce Boards for more information.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. I don't think a lot of people know about the accessible opportunities with workforce boards, and they're in every state. Like it's such an incredible opportunity, especially within the US. So definitely look through those as well. I have another question here. They're asking if HR tech and gig work is out of scope for this.
Yeah, so HR tech, that definitely would go for the MIT Solve side of it. So definitely open to that. Gig work, again, our thing is a living wage. So if that wage is going to be, you know, fluctuating, then we'd say that might not be it. But I think apply and let us know what your idea is, because if there's an opportunity for someone to, you know, again, earn a very high hourly wage, that could be interesting to certain people who need flexibility.
Okay, great. And then there's a question here around, is it possible to discuss the potential idea even before submitting to see if you're a good fit and really give feedback and critique in that way?
So 2 things, and then I'll throw to Monica. So we have, like I mentioned, those events that are there, the solve-a-thons on MIT, and then the sessions for XPRIZE. So come to those, that's an opportunity. And then Monica, you can let them know, do you do one-on-ones, or how do you handle that?
We usually don't do one-on-ones, but we do allow for sometimes questions. You can email us, or if you're on one of our webinars, that can come up during the Q&A. But what we do is try to always refer to the list of occupations that are in the guidelines on our website. You'll find that, I think page 27, do not quote me, it's 20 something, but you'll find that in our guidelines. You'll be able to reference that. And like we said, if there is an occupation or a skill that you think will be, you know, moving forward, paying a livable wage, and is it going to grow in the next 3 to 5 years, we do want to hear more about that, because we want to make sure that once our independent panel of judges is selected, that they're able to take that into consideration as well. Because that's one thing I don't think we touched on, is that for the XPRIZE Rapid Reskilling Competition, the solutions and everything will be judged by an independent panel of judges, not necessarily the staff here at XPRIZE. And that independent panel of judges will be composed of experts in entrepreneurship, workforce development, you know, skills training, adult basic education, and things of that nature. So really wanted to make sure that as we created this competition, like we did with our previous prizes, that we have an independent board of judges, not board of judges, but panel of judges that actually comes up with the rubric and rules and regulations, and they will be the ones who will be able to go over the proposed solutions and ideas and see if they're a good match, and they will do that with their ear to the ground of all the respective industries that this competition hits on.
Amazing, amazing. I have another question here that you mentioned that the selected solutions would be tested in 5 locations. Could you share the locations and geographies?
Yeah, so that's actually happening this week, but we will announce them towards the end of this month so that people can have time to think about that, to see if these locations would work for them. So if you look back at the Future of Work Grand Challenge page, we'll put a link in there. We'll announce that probably in the next week and a half.
Okay, great. It seems there's a lot of questions on like whether or not you really could just set an idea, really it's an idea. So you can really put that idea in there. And there's quite a bit of questions around, you know, can you refurbish an idea? So you can, if you have an existing idea and change it into a solution, all of that, all of that applies. So you can do that. So I'm gonna skip some of those questions and get into some of the specific ones around. We have another question from Pamela. STEAM trackers are focused on training and hiring teens now. Is this a program for teens? Can that be? It looks like that may not be, but I want to make sure that's the.
No, we're definitely focused on adult learners, but again, if you can think about that idea and if it has any transferability to adults, you could then apply with that.
Okay. So I have another question from Shauna, and she has a question saying, the submissions are due November 20th, but when will the finalists be selected? When will you know?
I can go into detail to give you the timeline for XPRIZE Rapid Reskilling. So where we are right now, we are in the early registration phase, and we really have a great opportunity for you guys who are on this call today, because we are having an incentive with early registration where if someone registers by October 29th, your registration is free. So that's something that we're doing to really incentivize and to be able to bridge the gap for some of our entrepreneurs who are just starting out. So if you're interested in competing in XPRIZE Rapid Reskilling, you can actually register by October 29th and your registration fee is waived. Now, after October 29th, the registration fee is $250 USD. Beyond November the 20th, then we go into getting those proposals together. So what you'll have is from November 20th to December 16th to actually give us your idea, but in more in-depth detail in a proposal format. And we will be releasing the details of that proposal once we have the judging panel set. And that will likely be closer to the end of this month as well. Beyond that, we're going to look into going to the top of next year. That's when you'll identify those 15 teams that will move forward and be considered to work with those 5 workforce development boards to be able to deploy and scale their solution. Now, beyond that, in 2021, we're going to be doing that field testing, working with those 5 workforce development boards to actually get the solutions, train the workers, and get them into jobs and retain. That's pretty much most of 2021, pretty much February through November 2021. Now we get into late 2021 and we're working on figuring out who are the 5 teams out of those 15 who did an amazing job with the training, scaling, and retention of those workers working with the workforce development jobs. How well you do in that round will be considered by the judges, and they'll decide what 5 out of the 15 become semifinalists, where you go into round 2 to be able to scale up. And now you're going to be able to expand into another 3 occupations with your solution, and then scale from 500 trained workers to 5,000 trained workers. That will be in 2022. So we have some time here. Now in 2022, that'll be most of the year, we'll be working on that round with scaling up to 3 additional occupations and 5,000 additional workers. At the end of 2022, the judges will look again to look at how well people did in that semifinalist round. And from there, in November through January, so November 2022 through January 2023, we will look into judging to figure out what 3 teams are going to split that final $1.5 million, with $1 million going to the grand prize winner, and then the second and third runners up will share that $500,000 respectively. If you are looking for where this timeline is, you can find it on the Rapid Reskilling website. I know that link was shared with you guys. On this website, you can actually find the guidelines, FAQs, overview, as well as some really great prize activity pieces around future positivity of work and things of that nature, and the actual timeline. And if you have any specific questions about XPRIZE Rapid Reskilling that you'd like to get to us, you can just actually email us at rapidreskilling@xprize.org. Again, that email is rapidreskilling@xprize.org. So that's kind of a long answer because it's a 30-month competition, but.
That was incredible. Thank you so much for that clarity. So Christina gave some more additional clarity on the question. So does workplace culture count? So example of that would be anti-racist policy, practices, procedures, professional development training, DEI. and et cetera?
Yep, so that would be for the MIT's Pathways to Employment. So to think about it there. And that timeline is a bit more truncated. So applications, the deadline is in November. And then at the beginning of the year, we'll announce 5 finalists from the MIT Solves. But those finalists who receive $100,000 each will also be paired along with the rapid reskilling to do that trial in communities. And just so you know, it sounds like a long process, but what we're trying to do with the entrepreneur is really show proof of scale. And so if you think about it, as you're going from 500 workers to, as we mentioned, looking at additional workers, we're showing that proof of concept to the boards, to the job centers. And along the way, traditionally, the finalists from XPRIZE that I've seen, they've gotten investments along the way, VC funding, other grant funding, because you're starting to have traction. And what we're doing also is we're holding events where we're promoting you, we're promoting the innovation, and we're helping you again as you begin to scale to different professions and also more job seekers.
Oh, that's incredible. I hope y'all are ready. This question is a great one because it's the last one before the minute. Is like, can I submit more than one idea? That's the question.
We get asked that all the time. So you can submit more than one idea, and you can submit to both XPRIZE and the MIT Solves. One thing we'll say, and I'll go back to what Monica mentioned earlier, we found that it's better for people to really focus on fleshing out one idea and to really share their unique insights and think about the team and not spread yourself thin, but you're welcome to do it. But we've seen most people who are successful really super focused on that one idea.
Okay, perfect. I know we're at the top of the hour. Thank you so much for sharing all the goodies about the Future of Work Challenge. And thank you so much, all of you, for your questions. I know there are still a few questions. We'll send those out to both Monica and Angela to give some feedback and clarification. But there are sessions for you to go to. The actual link to apply has frequently asked questions probably there, and there's a lot of opportunities for all of you to just jump with both feet in. So we're so excited to have all of you go ahead and apply. Good luck, ladies, and a few of you gentlemen in here. We want to thank you so much again, Monica and Angela, for joining us. It was a very amazing and packed conversations happening within the chat, and so it's super exciting. So thank you so much for coming with this incredible idea and allowing us to have the opportunity to apply.
Well, that goes both ways. Thank you for listening. This was just super vibrant. We're excited and look forward to seeing some of those ideas.
Yes. Thank you, ladies, and have a great rest of your Tuesday. And go ahead and start working on those ideas, ladies. All right. Bye-bye, y'all.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.